Welcome to the tutorial on how to install hanging hardware into Wedi or Wedi Board, however you want to pronounce it. What I'm going to show you here are a couple different methods of how to install your hanging hardware and some of the choices and materials that I choose to use and they're out there in the tile industry and at your hardware store. So some of these things you can find on online resources which are in the PDF, but I'm going to explain a couple different ways that you can do it and why certain things may work better than others. So to quickly dive in, when you're using Wedi Board, what it is it's an extruded foam substrate that is for using installing into showers or counters as the underlayment for before you put your tile on it. So Wedi Board is extruded foam with cementitious mesh on either side. It comes in many different thicknesses. This is considered 1/2 inch. This is considered the 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch. And what it is it's meant to be waterproof, and we love using it in the mosaic community because it cuts really easy, it's very light, and it's easy to use on our mosaics when we are creating. But the question is, how do we hang our mosaics? Because of the foam, you can't just put a nail in the back, or you can't just do your typical picture wire hanger. You have to have a support that happens on both the front and the back of this substrate, so that does have the proper support for hanging. And some people do it a little differently than others. I'm going to show you a really basic technique that does work. But I will say this, that the Wedi Board or Wedi Board company has their own washer, and this is it. And it has these 4 prongs on it, and it has a little bit of this bit of a concave sort of design. And the reason it has that is because it's meant to be countersinked into the Wedi Board when it is screwed into the wall before you're going to tile your wall when you're doing it in your shower or your counters or backsplashes. So that's not what we need it for. We need it just to hang something on a wall or in that sort of environment, indoor or outdoor, depending on what you've used as your adhesive and your grout. So I will show you how these work, but I'm not going to install with these. So if you choose to get those and you want to use them, you do need to figure out how to flatten them better, because this is what happens when you install with their washer. Because I'm just using my fingers to do it. Some people flatten these edges with a hammer. There's just a couple extra steps you have to do, because otherwise it will wobble. It won't lay flat because it's intended to have a screw and a drill go into it, and it countersinks it as that screw is also screwing into a stud, hopefully, because that's the proper installation of using the Wedi Board with on a shower installation, or like I said, a backsplash or something like that. So I'm not going to show you with this. I'm going to show you with what I like to use. And what I like to use are these flat steel washers, and they're really great, and they lay flat. You will get a tiny bit of a hump, but I will show you how you can smooth that out so it feathers out and you won't have any issues when you go to mosaic. You're also going to need an 832 screw, and I'm using the 1 inch, but depending on the thickness of your substrate will depend on the thickness of your screw. We're also going to use D-rings and nuts, and the nut goes to the 832, and this D-ring may be a little bigger than we need for this size substrate because they're based on weight, but I like to use them because I keep just one size in my studio. They're flat on the back, that's what goes flush with your substrate, and then they have a little hump on this side, so that should make it easy for you to remember which way it goes. So when we come back in the next section, I will demonstrate how to install this type of hanging hardware system onto this ready-to-go Wedi Board substrate.